After the euphoria of yesterday's Canada Day celebration and time for reflection, as we mentioned yesterday, Canada is an idea, New Brunswick is an idea that we often fall short of. Today's a heavy topic. It's I'm passionate about it because this is one of those examples of an issue that we have, a problem that we have as a community, and we are falling short. And I'm passionate about this because I do not want to live in a town or in a province that does not take care of the people who fall through the cracks as a direct result of policies that we are enacting. We have spent the last week talking about how affordability when it comes to housing is disappearing. It is moving farther and farther away from most people, many people. And so we talked about how, target number one, when I am your MLA, I believe we need affordable housing for those who can purchase housing, which, by all standards means 30% of your income should just be going to housing. We talked about measures for renters, for landowners alike. And that's target number one. Target number two, of course, is housing for all. All means all. And there are three kind of pillars of that. We talked about transition housing for women escaping violence and needing a safe place right away, women and children who need to escape an abusive situation. And thankfully, we have Fundy Region Transition House. We have Carol Ann's house in our riding. Very helpful. The second piece that is essential to housing for all is overnight shelter beds. And we saw in our riding, I'm a resident of St. Stephen, it's being seen to some degree in St. Andrews, and all around our riding, folks who cannot afford to have a home of their own. Now, the Human Development Council has been going around New Brunswick trying to count how many people are unable to afford housing, have an address of their own. They found this past year 700 is their number. They know it's many more than that, probably close to 1,000. Many of those, of course, are in the urban centers, but out of 700 counted, we know that in St. Stephen last year alone, there were about 70 people without a home, experiencing homelessness, living rough outside. And during the winter, that impacted us all extremely. We saw people suffering outside. It was uncomfortable for those of us who have a home. It was excruciating for them. And as I said, I feel that this is a direct result of the kind of policies that are not helping these folks. The Human Development Council noted, as they went around and talked to people who are experiencing homelessness, that about half of the people were that way. They didn't have a home because of eviction. And I mentioned how I was rent-evicted in Toronto. And this is happening to many people who cannot pay their rent for many issues. Maybe they have mental health issues. Maybe they have addiction issues. But I ask you, where is someone supposed to go when we have policies that are not helping housing become more affordable? They literally need to go outside and sleep on the street. That is why it is important for us as a community, I believe, to pool our money together the way we do for many things, chase the ace or a rotary field for recreation, things like that. We find the money when we can. I think it's important to have a tax rubric as a province to help people who do not have an address. A quarter of the people said it was not because they didn't have enough income. Half of the people said it was because of eviction. The Human Development Council did note that it's mental health issues, it's addiction issues, that people cannot find a home or keep a home. And so when I talk about housing for all, I mean people who have jobs, people who want to move here. We need to make housing affordable for them. But there are people who just will not be able to keep up with the cost of housing moving away the way it is, when we don't have enough housing, social housing, public housing, as I mentioned, and they are going to be on the street. Uh, it costs about $20,000 a year to provide a shelter bed for one individual who is on the street. That is how much it costs to have trailers, the facilities, the trained staff to provide shelter beds. Now, you might be thinking, wow, so that's why we're not doing it. It's very expensive. But this is an example of preventative measures, addictions treatment, mental health facilities, affordable housing. We would not be having to see budgets made where we are budgeting $20,000 per individual for a homeless shelter if we establish these preventative measures farther upstream so that people do not become vulnerable in this way. Thank goodness for organizations such as Neighborhood Works in St. Stephen that pivoted from their mandate and took people in from the cold. Otherwise, I'm not sure what those folks would have done. The province did absolutely nothing. I want you to pay attention to the news articles that are out there and the way the province said, we are committed. The Minister of Social Development, whenever they were asked for a comment, whenever they were reached out to for an interview, they always said, we are committed to solutions. We are committed to working with the municipality. Nothing was done. At the end of April, the Neighborhood Works overnight shelter was closed. That was not their mandate. And they are just a socially funded enterprise who help the community in many different ways. We are coming up on winter again. The province needs to step up. It is the mandate of social development to provide housing for our most vulnerable. And I hope I am your MLA at this time this year. It will be too late in October. I hope our current MLA is working on it now. We need a solution. Winter is not a surprise. It is coming. We need solutions for these people who are vulnerable and on the street, and our policies will reflect the degree of compassion we have. As Maritimers, we help each other. We reach out. We make sure to protect our most vulnerable. That includes people who are falling through the cracks of our policies that cause unaffordable housing and people to suffer in this way. That was heavy, needed to be said. Tomorrow we'll talk about the third pillar of housing for all. I look forward